Hi, everybody. Amy Letke here with Integrity HR, and welcome to our webinar on setting up successful teams for positive business results. And you know what? You're on the call today because you want to set up successful teams, and Robin and I are going to share with you how to do that. So there's me on the screen, and I am the founder and CEO of Integrity HR. That's all we do is HR work here at Integrity HR. So if you've got questions or needs, we'd surely appreciate it if you think of us. We're celebrating our 10th year in business, and we're pretty excited about that. So we love helping our clients. We love sharing information with people who want to learn more. And today, Robin Gregory is with me. Robin's one of our fabulous consultants. You want to say hi, Robin?
Hello, everyone. My name is Robin Adkins. I am an HR consultant here at Integrity HR. I've been with the company for about 5 years. Amy gave you my maiden name. My married name is Robin Adkins.
Robin, old habits die hard. I just don't know why I say things like I do. Sorry, my friend.
It's okay.
I'm so glad you're with me today. Thank you, Robin Adkins. Yes. So we've got a lot to share with you. And again, today is something where we just want to provide you with an overview of some tools that might really make a difference in your business. And Robin's our resident expert on some of these tools, and we're going to cover that with you. So first of all, I want to just ask you a quick question about what it's like at your place of business. You know, have you ever wondered what it might be like to have teams that work well together, that have people who really understand behaviors and why somebody prefers to ask questions one way versus another? Have you ever wondered what it might be like to hire great people who fit your culture pretty reliably? Have you ever wondered what it might be like to have your team really work well together with a high level of trust and commitment to help you really achieve the business results that you need for your organization? Well, if you're like some of our other clients, you've wondered these things a lot. And today's focus is going to be on sharing with you solutions that can be added to your existing processes and programs to heighten the results that you get with how you hire people, how you work with your teams, and how you understand people's behaviors, and then how you can create a dynamic of trust and commitment to help you achieve even higher levels of business performance. So today, you don't have to wonder anymore, what are those things? Because Robin and I are going to be talking to you about those. Okay, so when you think about the employment life cycle, we are hiring people, we're trying to get them acclimated into our organization, and you know that first 1 to 3 years is pretty tricky, right? We want to make sure we get people in understanding our mission, how we're operating, and then we've got to work on developing our staff, especially if we know we've got millennials coming in, they want those development plans, and man, we better be prepared to deliver, because if we don't, somebody else will. And then ultimately, people do leave our organizations, right, for a variety of reasons. Some might leave to retire, some might just quit, some might need to go. But we generally run through this employment life cycle with our people pretty frequently. And that's what we're here to talk about today. Our learning objectives are going to be to cover how we select good people to work with us. And if you don't have a specific recruiting process for how you hire people, you really need to be thinking about that. And like I said earlier, we're going to be talking about solutions, and these are things that can be added into your process. But I also want you to take this 1 hour time frame that we're going to be blowing through a lot of material to think about, do you have the right kind of processes in place to hire people, to keep them, to onboard them, to integrate them, and then ultimately be able to measure their performance so that they can constantly improve. Think about those things. What processes do you have? What things do you need? And we are going to be covering what those solutions are to help you develop the leaders and build your team. The solutions we're going to be referring to today are the PXT Select, Everything DISC, and the 5 behaviors of a cohesive team. So we're going to take a deep dive into those 3 solutions and how, when you add tools like these to your programs, how they can really make a difference and improve your organization overall. So first of all, let's take a look at the PXT Select. And this is a solution that we insert into the recruiting process. Every time we work with a client to help them hire a great person, we are using this particular solution. And why do we use this? Well, it's predictable, it's reliable, and it's customizable for our clients. So they can put it to use, they can benchmark their high performers, and again, go back out into recruiting land and hire more people using success patterns using this solution. We're going to show you exactly how to do that. But before we get into the details, I want you to take a look at this picture. Anyway, I want you to think about if you've ever had a challenge with how you've hired, and have you ever thought that maybe it looks like you've got a bunch of sheep that you need to hire, but one of them isn't quite like the others? One of the people, or actually not one of the people, but one of the animals is truly not a sheep. So if we're looking to hire a bunch of sheep to fit into our organization, we really need to know the difference. Which ones have the different clothing or might not match the sheep job description overall anyway. But you know, this one looks pretty close to me like a sheep, but it's a wolf. And the last thing we want to do is to hire someone that really doesn't match what we're looking for. And that's exactly what the PXT Select is going to help you do when you add it into your recruitment process. So I'm going to turn it over to Robin right now to share with you how you can add this into your solution and improve your hire rates significantly. Robin?
All right. Thank you, Amy. So when we talk about the PXT Select, the three main goals that we're looking for out of this assessment solution are to give you some more confidence with interviewing. So the assessment will give you tailored questions to keep an open ear for what to listen for based on the candidate's assessment results. We're also looking to get position matching. So this is matching people in the positions in which they'll perform the best and enjoy what they're doing. We're also looking to reduce turnover. So as we know, when employees are happier in their positions, they will be more engaged and will stay with your company longer. So the PXT Select breaks the candidate's assessment results down into three sections. So you have the thinking style, behavioral style, and the interest and preferences. So for job fit, we need to ask ourselves three basic questions.
Okay, so let's take a look at the cognitive skills of the person for the job. Robin.
Okay, so the first question that you want to answer by using the PXT Select is, does the person have the cognitive skills appropriate for the job? So when I talked about the assessment breaking the results into three sections, this is that first section, the thinking style. That's what that part is going to cover. The next question that we need to answer is, what behavioral style will the person bring to the job?
Yeah, certainly with Miss Wilkins, the reptile personnel in the office, first thing in the morning, that would be a little frightening there, wouldn't it? Okay.
The third question we want to answer with the PXT Select is, will the person be motivated to do the job? So this also pulls in a person's interest.
Yeah, this would probably not be somebody we would want to hire, right?
So the ultimate goal when we answer all of those questions by using the PXT Select is finding job fit. So we want to match people in the right job.
Absolutely, Robin. That's the most important thing.
So when we get people in the right seat, people are happier, they perform better, and they stay with your organization longer.
That's right. And we know that from having a lot of case studies around using these tools. So we've used them with our own clients. We also have had the opportunity to use them in our organization. So looking for the right fit is really important. So let's take a look at what job matching really can do for us and for you and your organization when you incorporate this into your selection process.
So the first important factor when doing job matching is to identify the characteristics that affect success in the job. So what are the thinking style, behavioral style, and interests that will make a person most successful in the job. Another important aspect is to measure the job at hand. So this is what Amy was referring to when she talked about customizing this to your organization. So we're going to talk a little bit about performance models in just a second, but measuring the job at hand is essentially creating a benchmark of what a successful candidate would look like in your position. So the next step in job matching is to measure the individual candidate. So you would take the candidate's results, compare them to that benchmark of your position, and come out with a job percent match that shows you how closely aligned they are with the position.
Yeah, are we going to be able to show them a visual of this, Robin?
We will. We're going to pull up the report.
Awesome. So glad to hear that, because you know what? Seeing is believing. I think when you take a look at this and you've got data to really back behind what you're looking at, then you really know that, you know, what we're talking about is very supported because we have real people, real matches, and either real success on the job or not very good performance, right? Okay, so let's take a look at what this looks like.
Okay, so as you can see, I mentioned there are 3 sections of the report. So the top section there you have is the thinking style. So this is pulling in the cognitive abilities of your candidate. So you can see the shaded area here is the benchmark for the position, and the initials there are where the candidate falls within the benchmark.
Yeah, let me pause for just a quick second, Robin, because you know you can develop these benchmarks in a couple different ways. You can develop them by using a survey where you can go survey the boss for this position and have them complete a survey that will ultimately create this benchmark. Or you can find a bunch of people who perform at high levels in your organization if you happen to have multiple people in the position, and you can create that based upon their successful performance. Or we've got a library, right? We can go out there and go to the library and say, oh, this is a office manager position, or this is an accountant position, or this is a chief financial officer, or whatever the position is, and we can pull that data from other organizations that have those roles to start building a benchmark that will be effective for us, right?
That's right. And the library of performance models is a great place to start, and you can always come back and customize the report as you get more data. So the top section there is the thinking style. Then we go down into the behavioral traits that this candidate will bring to the position. So you can see in the behavioral traits, we have descriptors on the left side of the scale and descriptors on the right side of the scale. So both are equally important and equally as good for the position. So it just depends on what your position needs. So you can see the position of our sample here would like a more urgent pace out of their candidate rather than a more steady pace out of their candidate. So our sample candidate here, Oliver Chase, he falls right within the benchmark of this position. So a pretty good match.
Right, and these behavioral traits are things that over time really do tell a good story, don't they, Robin?
That's absolutely right. So the report will give you more information as you go down. It starts with a visual summary here in the beginning. So the third section are the interest or the motivations of the candidate. So you can see we've got the interest of the performance model ranked in order here on the right. And then we've got the interest of our sample candidate, Oliver, listed here on the left.
Now, why are interests important, Robin?
Interests are important because if a person is motivated to do the position, they will be much more successful in that position.
Right. So what this is telling us, it says 72% fit that according to the benchmark that was done for the position, the top performing people should be interested in enterprising roles, people service, or financial and admin, those 3 in that order. So because Oliver's got technical, creative, and then financial, admin, enterprising at a 3rd and 4th place, this might be something we want to explore in the interview process, right?
That's right. Okay. And the report will give you specific questions to those results. So you can see on the right here, next to every single section, we have the percent fit. So that's the percent fit for those particular sections. And then you have a composite or overall fit at the top. So Oliver here fits this benchmark at about a 70%. So Amy's going to talk to you a little bit about job match being a continuum.
Absolutely. So why are these tools so powerful? Well, the reason is you get some percentage of match, and when you take a look at a 70% match, you're thinking, wow, is this person really going to be successful or not? So here's how we like to look at job match and why these tools can help us with our decision. It's not the only thing that would help us make a decision, but it does give us good things to be thinking about. So at an 85% match or better, hey, let's get them going and get them in the position. We should be feeling pretty good if we've got an 85% match, right? And it will make our onboarding so much simpler because we know that the person is really going to be able to perform at a high level. If it's less than that, like 75% to 84%, that success is going to give more work on the part of the employee and the manager. So the manager's going to really have to be paying attention to where the strengths are and where those areas are where maybe they didn't quite match to the level that we wanted. If it's below 75%, it's going to really be tough. And I can tell you right now, we've been working with a couple clients that they use this tool, and when they use it reliably, they go back and use the interview questions that are provided by one of the reports that you can pull. This one happens to have multiple reports. It really helps them make better hiring decisions. We actually met with them because a couple of times they were hiring people who fell below 75%, and the people weren't staying in the organization. It was really causing some turnover issues. So, when you use these tools, they can really help you get more disciplined in your process and hire much better quality candidates. Right, Robin?
That's right. So as you see on the slide here, at 50% or below, nobody really works that hard. So you really want to use these tools you have.
Yeah, and job match doesn't measure the skills that are necessary for the job. This is just how well they are matching your benchmark. So that benchmark process becomes ever more important. We want to take it serious, or we're not going to get very solid results.
So as Amy alluded to earlier, these assessments are validated for selection, and one of the reasons for that is called the distortion rating. So an interviewer has less than a 15% chance of discovering a lie on a resume or application. And as we've all heard before, many people will exaggerate the truth a bit on their resume or application. So the distortion scale of this assessment helps you determine whether the person is distorting their answers in order to appear more socially acceptable, or if they're answering or responding candidly and honestly.
Yeah, so let me kind of tell you the real world example. I was working with an engineering firm probably about 8 years ago. We did a project with all of their engineers, and it was for developmental purposes. And it was really interesting because, engineers, they have, high scoring levels of thinking ability, very interesting behavior pattern, and interest. And we could see that there were some trends in those who were more successful on the job. And one of the engineers just really didn't want to participate in the program. And believe it or not, he just did not answer consistently throughout the process, and his distortion score was off the charts. And I'll never forget calling the HR director at that particular company and saying, I had all these 20 people who were participating in this development process, and they took the assessment, but this one person, their scores are just, way crazy, and their distortion is wrong. I said, is there something going on with that person? And she took a deep breath and she said, Amy, that person just really doesn't want to be here, and he really is making everybody's life very difficult. So we had to have a hard conversation about whether that person was even going to be successful being part of this development program, but it was really interesting that he had already been a little bit of a problem child, and what do you know, the assessment picked that up.
That's right. Great example. So with the PXT Select, you have one assessment. So your candidate takes one assessment, and you are privy to a full suite of reports. So as Amy mentioned, this assessment is validated for selection, but there are many purposes beyond selection. So we'll talk a little bit about those too. So the three reports that you use for selection are the Comprehensive Selection Report, Multiple Positions Report, and the Multiple Candidates Report. The comprehensive selection report is the report we were looking at just a few minutes ago. So this report tells you if the candidate is a good fit to the position. So this helps you make smart hiring decisions with confidence. This is the report that features tailored interview questions and tips on what to listen for based on your candidate's results. So this report really gives you a meaningful edge in the hiring process. Now, the multiple positions report, this one comes in handy when you have a great candidate, you're not quite sure where they fit in the organization, so you can compare one candidate to multiple positions with this report and be able to see all of that just in one snapshot. Multiple candidates report is a great report to use when you've got your applicant pool whittled down to those last 3 to 5 candidates. You can compare them all on one report and see them very visually, a clean representation of who would be the best fit for that position. So then you have some participant reports. So these are reports that are written to the individual that took the assessment. So the individual's feedback report gives the individual feedback based on their results, but it does not include any of the scales. So people tend to get a little freaked out when they see their initials on that scale and they see maybe they're outside of the benchmark. So this is a narrative report that gives them some really good information that can help you with onboarding or coaching that individual.
That's right. And that's, that's a really good use because everybody wants to know, how did I do on that assessment? So it's nice when it's a safe way that you can share that, whether it's a candidate or someone inside your organization.
Absolutely. And if down the road you do decide you want to give the individual their graph, that report is available as well with only the graph and not all of the other information such as the interview questions and summaries.
Now, you've got a couple other really cool reports, Robin. Why don't you go into detail on how these can really benefit the people who are listening in today?
Sure. So we encourage you to use these reports all throughout the life cycle of the employee. So one really good use is for in onboarding and development. So that manager-employee report gives your manager a lot of really useful information on their employees. So it helps your managers discover how they can work more effectively with their employees.
Right. So what that is you actually take a look at the manager scores, right, how they scored on their assessment, and then it shows them their employees. So there could be some gaps maybe, or maybe there's some areas where they're very similar. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, awesome. So I think that'd be worth a lot before I hired somebody just to see, are they a lot like me or not? What do you think about that?
Absolutely, and can help a lot, especially in those first few months when everybody's just getting to know each other.
Mm-hmm.
So the coaching report, coaching is such a big thing in organizations, and Amy mentioned millennials before and how much millennials we know that they like feedback. So this coaching report gives you tailored coaching advice for each employee. The team report can help you see how a potential candidate can fit in with your existing team or address any current team's dynamics and strengths.
And, I think that's probably one of the most valuable reports because we all want to know how somebody's going to fit, right? I think we all make that decision that, if somebody can come in and fit the organization, I can teach them skills, right? So we want to make sure that we're really thinking about that fit and culture because people who come and stay, you're going to have less turnover, right?
That's right.
Okay.
All right.
So that's the Profile XT, or what we now call the PXT Select, and that is for selection. So again, I want you to review your recruiting process. Think about how you can improve it, whether it's with an assessment like the PXT Select or something else. If you're using something else, you want to make sure it's validated for selection. And then the most important thing is that it's validated for you so that it really is showing results for your organization. There's nothing worse than using assessments and they don't help you make decisions. So whether you've got a process set down for your recruiting or not, think about the value of including some assessments to help you make better decisions. We spend a lot of time and a lot of money on recruiting, and if we can shortcut that using good tools, this is something for you to take a good look at in something serious. Now we're going to move on and talk about a solution that you can add into your organization to help people understand each other better. And sometimes people just feel like they're speaking different languages with their coworkers. Don't you think, Robin?
That's
How does that happen?
Well, when you're bringing all sorts of different backgrounds and communication styles into the workplace, it can be helpful to know what your employees' priorities or what their needs are. So when you look at using something like Everything DISC, think about what if your employees had their needs written all over them? Or what if they had a name tag that said something like, I really want independence, or I really feel micromanaged? Would that change the way you manage them right from the get-go? I'm sure that would make your job a lot easier. So with the right tools, everyone's needs can be a lot more obvious. So that's where DISC comes in. DISC allows you to learn about people's preferences so you can work effectively together and everyone can be more productive.
Yeah, so this is not a tool that we recommend for selection because there are some ways that people can manipulate the data if they're kind of wily, right?
That's right.
So, Robin, why don't you tell us about the DISC styles and why they're important?
Sure. So DISC, as I mentioned, gives you a way to quickly understand the needs and priorities of those around you. So it breaks everyone down into 4 basic styles. You can see our 4 quadrants here. You've got D for dominance, I for influencer, C for conscientiousness, and S for steadiness. So here's how it works. When your candidate or employee takes the assessment, you will be generated a report and you'll have a dot. So everyone's dot falls into the quadrant that tells their DISC style. So for example, if you have the D style, you are going to be driven by results. People with the same style will appreciate your direct communication style. However, people with other styles may find your direct communication a little intimidating.
Yikes. Is that true, really, Robin? Intimidating? Strong language there, lady.
I've seen it happen.
Okay, I trust you.
So the I style, or influencer, these folks really approach their work with a lot of enthusiasm. They really enjoy to work as a part of a team. So people that share the I style will appreciate your collaborative nature if you are an I style. People with different styles may find I's a little overly chatty from time to time, or maybe a little too enthusiastic. All right, now people with the S style, this is the steadiness style. So S's are very supportive by nature. People with the same S style will appreciate that stable nature. People with different styles may perceive our S's to be a little slow to act. Now, if you have the C style, the conscientious style, you really value accuracy. So you're going to like a lot of facts and data. People with the same style will appreciate your eye for detail, whereas people with other styles may feel like you challenge them a little too much.
You know what's really interesting about this, Robin, is we worked with a Japanese manufacturing company a few months ago to help their leadership team build some awareness around the 4 quadrants, the 4 different behavior styles. And what was really interesting was the salespeople were way up there in the I category. And where do you think the accounting people were?
They most likely fell down towards the Z's.
Well, and this group had never really talked about behavioral styles and why there were so many challenges in communicating between sales and accounting. And once we did this project to help them learn how to communicate better, it was kind of like the light bulb went on. And they said, oh, my gosh, now I know why the accountants want all the details. And if I turn my sales report in and I don't have them filled out completely, then, okay, I get why they start losing their minds. And then, of course, you know, the accountants are saying, okay, well, now I understand why the I's might be a little disorganized because they're more socializing, they're out there in front of people, they're presenting. They may or may not always put the information in the format that we need. So they really started a dialogue, and it was a really great awareness. And this particular group had, I think maybe there were 1 or 2 people who had actually participated in something like this before, but the rest of the group really had a good aha moment. So it was really, really pretty awesome to help that group come together and understand each other better.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so as we all know, in the real world, it's not so cut and dry. So your thought may be more in between two styles, or you may share priorities with other styles. So you can see from this example, our dot here has a primary style of I, but they have some shading that goes down into the C area. So what that means is, although they are very enthusiastic and enjoy collaboration, they also share that priority of accuracy with their C coworkers.
And that's really helpful because, you know, not everybody is usually one pure style, right, Robin?
That's correct.
So we have elements of all four of these quadrants in our makeup, but just some of them we have a significant amount more than others. So that's why you've got that shape of the pie that's I is all shaded in, so that person's got the I, a little bit of dominance, a little bit of steadiness, and a tiny bit of conscientiousness too. So that's pretty cool.
Okay, so how this helps in the workplace is by generating a report called the Workplace Profile. So this gives you specific and personalized information on yourself, and then you also will get the information on your coworkers. So in the report, you have action plans and strategies for how to work better with other styles and how to understand the priorities of the other styles better. So this is pretty powerful information to have on yourself alone, so you can just imagine the impact if you had this information on everyone in your organization.
Right. You know, a lot of times I see organizations use the DISC process. It could be used as a component of the hiring process or part of onboarding. What do you think about that, Robin?
I think that's a great use of the DISC. You can really get a lot of good information to understand where someone's coming from and get them really fit in with the right mentor or the right team within the organization.
Right, and the reason we really recommend it for helping improve communication and people's understanding of each other is because it's not validated for selection. So you've got to really kind of go at this with the right attitude of I'm going to develop myself and my staff, or I want to really get to know people better. So you have to kind of go at this with kind of an honest approach to how you see yourself, don't you think?
That's right, and the best teams, even within the best positions, are made up with people with primary styles from all four quadrants. So no one quadrant is more successful than another.
Thanks, Robin. That's really great information. So for those of you out there who are working on developing your team, helping people understand each other, or maybe if you've got some conflict at work, think about how the DISC profile could be helpful in letting people learn about each other and understanding how, when people are different from them, how they can create winning strategies to work better together. So this is a solution you might think about, whether it's now or sometime in the future, to have some fun, to have people learn, and to be able to create meaningful development. All right. Well, we're racing through this webinar today, and we're going to talk next about the 5 behaviors of a cohesive team. 5 behaviors of a cohesive team. I thought there might be more than 5, Robin. What do you think?
I think it's countless.
Well, let's take a look at what the 5 behaviors of a cohesive team is. And if you take a look at the book, actually this is a book that was written by Patrick Lencioni, except his book was called The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. And it's really written, it's a fable, and it's been taken by our Wiley brand and creating a program to help leaders become more effective in their roles. Now, this was first published back in 2002, and it's been on the bestseller list ever since then. So on Amazon.com, it keeps up there and ranking in the top 200 of English books out there. And, when you think about 16 million books being sold, that's a pretty highly ranked book. And it's always in the top 10 of the business books that are being sold every day. So, and if you've ever had the opportunity to hear Patrick Lencioni speak on a TED Talk or, heard him on a YouTube video, he really is a very, very powerful business leader and author. So Wiley's actually the publisher of Pat's books, and since it's a publication, he's actually continued to write a considerable amount of leadership books. So what Wiley decided to do was to take the lessons learned from the 5 dysfunctions of a team and to be able to create an assessment to help us improve our teams, in particular our leadership teams within our organization. So let's take a look at what the 5 behaviors model is all about. And it's really an assessment-based learning experience that helps people discover what it takes to build a high-performance team. Getting everybody together, everybody's personalities and preferences to develop a cohesive, productive team takes a lot of work. But there's really a huge payoff that can be made for your people, for your team, and the organization. And it all starts with this triangle. And if you take a look at the triangle, you know, we've got to build a foundation of trust, to be able to deal with conflict, to build commitment, accountability in the team to achieve the results that we want to accomplish, right? So let's jump in there. Robin, you want to talk a little bit about this slide?
Sure. So the 5 behaviors, the biggest focus is on generating collective results from your team. So this encourages your team to hold each other accountable, commit to their decisions. They will engage in healthy conflict around ideas. So a big, Patrick Lencioni is a big proponent of healthy conflict. There has to be some conflict in the workplace in order to be able to grow. So we just want to make sure it doesn't cross over into the dysfunctional conflict area. And then, as Amy mentioned, at the bottom of the pyramid there, we want to have trust. So if we don't have the trust within our team, we can't move on to the collective results.
Right, Robin. So this particular assessment starts with a behavioral profile, right? And really, when you take a look at this particular approach, it's really a long-term process. So it's not something that you just take the assessment and you're done. It's really something where if you have an organization where you're wanting to commit your leaders to achieving better results, this process is one that you can take to have people become aware of their own behaviors, where they stand in each of the areas of the pyramid, and to be able to see where there are strengths and areas of need for development for teams and comparison and reports that even get into detail of here's where we are today, but gee, in 3 months or 6 months, this is how we've progressed. Right, Robin?
That's right. So as Amy mentioned, this is a full program. So this is not one of the programs where you just take an assessment, you get a report, and you're done. So this is much more interactive. And you can see here we have the comparison report. So on the left side of that pyramid, you have the team's results in April of 2014. And on the right side, we've compared them just about a year later on March 20th of 2015.
Those are some pretty interesting results, Robin. What can you garner from this information?
Those are interesting results. So you can see that they've increased their scores in each area there. Now, I have had clients, I've seen situations where the trust will actually go down, and managers will come to me and say, how could this be? We've been working so hard. Well, sometimes when you're going through this process and people start to trust you a little more, they may be responding more candidly on that assessment when they're taking that. So that trust can appear to go down. So you want to really stick with it and do some comparison results down the road and see where you stand.
Absolutely. So the value in the 5 behaviors of a cohesive team is to really start your benchmark or your baseline for where you're going, and then to be able to start looking at how we're making improvements so that we can get better business results. Is that right, Robin?
Right. So some of the advantages of having a productive team, your team's going to make better and faster decisions if they are really working cohesively. They're going to tap into the skills and opinions of all the members. When you really understand the priorities of all the members, you can really pull in information from everyone. A lot of times when you go through this program, too, you can avoid a lot of wasted time and energy on office politics and confusion and that kind of destructive conflict that I talked about before. So you want to avoid wasting time talking about all the wrong issues and revisiting the same topics over and over and over again because you have a lack of buy-in. So that's really where this assessment comes into play.
Right. So again, this is something that we think is really pretty cutting edge, and we're excited to be a partner with Wiley to be able to offer this solution to our clients and friends and to be able to help their organizations improve and achieve even higher levels of performance. So, you know, depending on where you are within your organization, you may feel like, this might be really something that can make a difference and help us get closer as a team and help us really understand each other better so that we can get those business results that we want and also make sure the team is all on the same page with where we're headed. Okay, so with that, we have talked about 3 solutions that you can add into your business to help you perform and to help your business perform at a higher level. Whether it's the PXG Select, that's something to help you with hiring, or Everything Desk to help people understand their coworkers and how they're performing and how they're speaking and how they're reacting, to the 5 behaviors of a cohesive team. These are 3 opportunities that Integrity HR is here to share with you. And as a matter of fact, coming in October this year, we plan to have a specific showcase along with some case studies on the 5 behaviors of a cohesive team. Robin, did you know that?
That's right.
So stay tuned, and you might want to come back for a deep dive into the 5 behaviors process and program and even hear about how some other organizations have really taken that seriously to help make their organizations improve. So we do have some questions here about pricing. Do we have a slide on that, Elizabeth? Looks like we don't have our pricing right now. However, if I can tell you a little bit about each of these solutions. So the PXG Select is going to run around $200 per assessment, but the more you use in your organization, if you buy 10 or more at a time, we provide you with a discount from that price. Now remember, you can run reports, all those multiple reports with the PXG Select. So that's about what that's going to cost. But again, the more you use, we're able to offer a discount because the provider provides us with that. And then the Everything Disc process, that's going to be a little less expensive than the PXG Select, again, depending on how many you need. It's just under $150 per assessment, and sometimes they are even less than that, depending on what you're using them for. And the 5 behaviors, since that is a process, we really do want to talk with our clients about your needs and be able to give you a specific price for that. So each one of these, if you'd like an opportunity to try one out, the PXG Select or an Everything Disc, why don't you just reach back to us? I know we're going to be sending you an email following the close of this webinar, just getting your feedback. And if you'd like more information about how this can help your organization or you'd like to try a sample, we'd love the opportunity to show it to you and show you the power of these assessments. So before you get too excited about, oh boy, I don't have a budget for that right now, you might want to think about how you want to use it, because we can help show you ways that it really can help you reduce some costs and improve performance in your business. And then again, depending on how you choose to use it, there may be some ways where we can make that budget very feasible. So great question. We've got a couple minutes here. If anybody wants to type a question into the chat box, Robin, anything else that I forgot to mention that you think is important for the listeners today? Robin, you're being shy, aren't you?
I'm just thinking really hard over here.
That's okay. Well, listen, we are excited to be able to be here, and I just want to thank everybody for listening to us today and hearing about the solutions that can be added into your organization to make you stronger, more cohesive, and hire better people. And with this information, you really don't have to wonder. You've got data to help support the decisions that you make for the people you bring in, the people you want to retain, and those leaders you want to continue to develop. So we certainly hope that as you have those kinds of needs, whether it's for HR or if you need some help with having an HR department, you'll give us a call. And we've got a list of some of our services here, and we just want to continue to be your preferred partner to help you improve your business and your HR practices for the long haul. So I'm going to go ahead and close today's session now. I just want to thank everyone for being part of this. And then again, please make sure you reply to that email if you'd like a demo on one of these assessments. We'd love to give you that opportunity. So thank you again from myself and Robin, and we wish you a great rest of your day. Take care.